There are lies that enslave men, and there are lies that destroy rulers. Most people never learn the difference. They confuse comfort for safety, applause for loyalty, mercy for virtue. They walk through life, believing the world rewards sincerity. But power does not live in sincerity. It lives in perception, and perception bends not to truth, but to force, to timing, and to the will of those who understand both. The first lie is this: that being loved is safer than being feared. It is the lie that weak rulers whisper to themselves when their nerves tremble before the crowd. They mistake affection for allegiance and sympathy for submission. They forget that the same hands that cheer can strangle when the wind changes. Love is fragile. Fear is remembered. When people love you, they expect you to please them. When they fear you, they expect you to prevail. A ruler who seeks to be loved must serve every heart that desires something. A ruler who commands fear serves only necessity. It is not cruelty that sustains order, it is clarity. Fear, when measured and directed, breeds obedience. Love, when unguarded, breeds betrayal. The one who depends on affection is a hostage to mood, but the one who controls fear his own and that of others becomes untouchable. The second lie: that honesty wins trust. No. Honesty wins applause for a moment among the naive, but trust true. Enduring trust is born from predictability, not confession. The people do not want truth, they want stability. And truth is never stable. It shifts like the tide, destroying what yesterday seemed eternal. The honest man exposes himself to the daggers of those who cannot bear his reflection. He speaks truth to power and becomes its first victim. He speaks truth to the crowd and becomes their entertainment. The wise leader learns that deception is not always the enemy of morality. Sometimes it is the guardian of order. There are moments when a lie preserves the peace that truth would shatter. And there are wars won not by the sword, but by the illusion that the sword is ready. Deception, used with precision, is not betrayal, it is the art of survival. The third lie: that loyalty is permanent. Loyalty exists only as long as it serves interest. Men swear oaths, but they obey hunger. They wear emblems of allegiance, but they kneel to fortune. When times are good, loyalty multiplies. When power trembles, loyalty dissolves like smoke. A ruler who forgets this will die surrounded by statues, built by those who already plot his replacement. The wise ruler rewards loyalty but never depends on it. He knows every friendship in politics is a transaction, every alliance a bridge over uncertain ground. Trust is not a gift, it is a wager. You do not win loyalty through kindness, you win it through necessity. Make yourself indispensable and loyalty will cling to you. Make yourself replaceable and it will betray you before sunset. The loyal will not remain loyal to the fallen, they will serve the throne, not the man who built it. The fourth lie: that goodness protects you. The belief that virtue alone shields a man from evil is the most seductive illusion in politics. Goodness, unguarded by strength, becomes an invitation to predators. The world does not honor innocence, it devours it. Morality without power is poetry recited to wolves. There is no justice in the natural order, only balance maintained by force. The ruler who clings to virtue without strategy will soon serve those who have neither. Goodness must be armed. Mercy must be chosen, not automatic. Compassion without judgment breeds weakness. And weakness, in the eyes of power, is guilt. A good man may sleep soundly, but he will not reign long. A strong man who knows when to be good and when not to will endure. These are the four lies that destroy rulers: that love is safer than fear, that honesty wins trust, that loyalty is permanent, that goodness protects you. Together they form the chain that binds every idealist to his own ruin. Each begins with noble intent to be kind, to be honest, to be loved, to be good, and ends in betrayal, disillusionment, exile. The world remembers not those who meant well, but those who endured. To rule is not to be perfect. It is to survive imperfection. To lead is to know the cost of every illusion and still choose clarity. The ruler must not seek purity, he must seek permanence. He must understand that the moral man and the powerful man live under different laws. The moral man seeks peace within himself. The ruler seeks peace within his state. And often, these two forms of peace cannot coexist. You will be told to choose light over shadow, but the truth is that leadership lives in twilight. To command, you must learn to walk where others fear to look, between mercy and cruelty, between honesty and deceit, between hope and control. For in that narrow corridor of contradictions, real power breathes. If you wish to keep your power, then kill the four lies within you. Do not chase love, command respect. Do not boast of honesty, master perception. Do not rely on loyalty, construct necessity. Do not hide behind goodness, wield strength. Because power stripped of illusion is not evil. It is simply the force that holds chaos at bay. But it demands one thing from you, that you see the world as it is, not as you wish it to be. And once you see it, you can never unsee it. That is both the price and the privilege of power. Power is a mirror that never flatters. It reflects every flaw the world tried to hide from you, your vanity, your fear, your hunger to be loved. The more authority you gain, the clearer the reflection becomes, and many cannot bear to look. They begin to disguise their weakness behind symbols, gestures, words that sound righteous but conceal fear. Yet power does not respond to self-deception. It strips away illusion, exposing the naked architecture of ambition. Every ruler, sooner or later, must face the truth that the crown does not change the man it reveals him. The greatest tragedy of leadership is not failure, but blindness. The blindness that comes from believing that good intention absolves incompetence, that sincerity replaces calculation, that integrity alone commands loyalty. The ruler who confuses moral approval for political stability builds his throne on sand. The world he governs is not a moral classroom, it is a field of forces. Those who understand this survive. Those who deny it are consumed by those who do. The masses may pray for justice, but they obey only strength. They may cheer the virtuous, but they follow the victorious. And so, the art of ruling lies in mastering both appearances, the face that inspires trust, and the hand that enforces fear. One cannot exist without the other. A ruler who presents only strength becomes a tyrant. A ruler who presents only virtue becomes a victim. The balance between the two is the narrow bridge of endurance. Cross it carelessly, and you fall into chaos. There is a reason every empire begins with a realist and ends with a dreamer. Power, once inherited, loses its hunger. The heirs of conquest forget the necessity of cruelty that built their peace. They mistake luxury for stability, applause for legitimacy, and peace for permanence. But peace is not the natural state of man. It is an interval between struggles and illusions sustained by vigilance. Once that vigilance fades, the wolves return. Civilization collapses not from war, but from softness. The ruler who wishes to endure must learn to cultivate the hardness of the mind without losing control of the heart. He must be capable of feeling, yet never ruled by feeling. He must study men not as angels or demons, but as creatures driven by appetite and fear. Their loyalty can be bought, their conscience can be bent, their devotion can be staged. To understand them is to predict them. To predict them is to control them. The naive call it manipulation. The wise call it governance. And yet, there is a deeper truth. To control others, one must first conquer oneself. The greatest tyrant lives within the voice of insecurity, the craving for recognition, the addiction to praise. Many rulers fall not by their enemies' hands, but by their own hunger to be adored. To be feared is to rule the body of men. To be loved is to become their slave. The true master rules neither by affection nor cruelty, but by necessity, making himself the center of what cannot function without him. Understand this: people do not follow virtue, they follow advantage. Their loyalty lies where benefit lies. Promise them stability, and they will forget your sins. Threaten their comfort, and they will crucify their savior. The crowd does not love justice, it loves spectacle. The wise ruler must therefore rule through symbols, for symbols speak to the masses as logic never will. A gesture, a rumor, A silence at the right moment can shift more hearts than 100 speeches. Power does not always announce itself. Often, it hides in restraint. The greatest weapon of any ruler is not the army, nor wealth, nor even fear, it is patience. The power to wait while others exhaust themselves in noise. The discipline to act only when the moment serves. Impulse is the weakness of the insecure. Strategy is the instinct of the destined. The one who cannot wait will always kneel to the one who can. A ruler must learn to observe storms without fear, to let time destroy his enemies more efficiently than any sword could. In the theater of politics, truth is not what is real, but what is believed. Every action must therefore serve not only reality, but perception. The crowd cannot see motives, only outcomes. A successful deception becomes history. An exposed truth becomes scandal. The ruler must never seek to be understood. He must seek to be unassailable. Understanding invites debate. Mystery commands reverence. Do not confuse silence for weakness. The most dangerous mind is the one that speaks rarely, but decides absolutely. Words are cheap. Silence costs power. The ruler who speaks too much reveals his limits. The ruler who listens learns the map of every enemy. The greatest victory is not in domination, but in prediction to know what another will do before he himself knows it. Fear not the hatred of others. Fear only the moment you cease to be feared. For hatred fades with time, but indifference is fatal. When men stop fearing you, they stop needing you. When they stop needing you, they begin to imagine a world without you. And every rebellion begins first, as an imagination. In this world, strength is not measured by how much one can take, but by how much one can conceal. Endure quietly, move invisibly, strike only when unseen. The visible ruler is easy to destroy. The invisible one governs even after death. The art of enduring power lies in mastering invisibility, in shaping events so subtly that the world calls them fate. So remember, love decays, honesty wounds, loyalty shifts, goodness tempts, but clarity endures. To see the world without illusion is the first step toward command. To act without hesitation is the second. And to walk alone, when all others hesitate, is the final test. Power belongs not to the loud, but to the lucid, to those who accept that morality is a luxury only the strong can afford, to those who understand that peace without vigilance is decay, and mercy without control is ruin. The one who sees clearly, acts coldly, and endures silently. He does not merely rule, he survives history. And when all voices fade, when the applause has turned to ash, when loyalty has fled to a new master, it is clarity that remains. The clarity to see men as they are, the world as it is, and oneself without disguise. That, and that alone, is the true foundation of power. Power is not an inheritance. It is a burden disguised as privilege. The moment you possess it, it begins to test you. It whispers to your ego and measures your restraint. It offers temptation in the form of opportunity, the chance to act without consequence, to decide without accountability. Most fail this test. They mistake authority for freedom, when in truth, it is the highest form of captivity. For every ruler is bound by his own decisions, haunted by the ghosts of those he has outplayed, outmaneuvered, or destroyed. The throne is not a seat, it is a weight. It demands endurance of solitude, suspicion, and silence. Those who rise quickly rarely understand the cost. They confuse visibility with control and influence with power. They believe they rule because they are seen. But visibility is the death of strategy. The moment a ruler becomes predictable, he ceases to be feared. The greatest rulers are those whose intentions remain unreadable. Their allies cannot fully trust them. Their enemies cannot fully hate them. They move between contradiction and clarity, between promise and threat, like a shadow that never stands still. Their strength lies not in brute dominance, but in psychological presence, that silent understanding that they see more than they reveal. Power requires performance. Every leader must play a role, wear a mask, become a character larger than life and colder than truth. The ruler who shows too much humanity invites disobedience. The ruler who hides it entirely breeds despair. The art lies in revealing just enough to inspire faith while concealing enough to preserve fear. Leadership is theater, and the wise ruler writes the script. He decides which emotions to display, which gestures to withhold, which silences to weaponize. Because men do not follow reason, they follow rhythm. They submit not to logic, but to presence. To rule, therefore, is to master illusion without losing sight of reality. The ruler must know that appearances shape obedience, but substance maintains it. A beautiful lie may open the door, but only results keep it open. Thus, a ruler must perform strength, but also deliver stability. He must promise hope, but govern through control. He must appear moral, yet think strategically. It is a cruel paradox to act in ways the people would condemn, in order to protect them from the very chaos they cannot bear to face. The tragedy of modern power is that men want rulers who make them feel safe, not rulers who keep them safe. They would rather believe in virtue than endure the discipline of order. They love to judge from comfort what others must decide in crisis. And so the ruler stands alone, bearing the burden of necessity, condemned for what he must do, yet abandoned if he does not. This is the loneliness of power, to be needed but never understood. Those who cannot bear isolation should never seek command, for every decision that preserves the state will cost you something of yourself. You will sacrifice affection for control, reputation for stability, sleep for vigilance. You will learn that success breeds envy faster than failure breeds pity. And the higher you rise, the fewer hands you can trust. Betrayal in politics is not an accident, it is a rhythm. It comes not from enemies, but from allies who envy your survival. Thus, the wise ruler does not depend on friendship. He cultivates fear and need. Friendship is conditional, but dependence is eternal. The man who loves you may betray you, but the man who needs you cannot. Create a world where your fall means their ruin, and they will protect you not out of affection, but out of self-interest. This is the architecture of control, not built on emotion, but on consequence. Do not waste time searching for loyalty in the hearts of men. Build it into their circumstances. Let their wealth, safety, and ambitions be tied to your stability. Let them see your survival as the continuation of their own. Then betrayal becomes irrational, rebellion becomes suicide. That is how empires endure, not through morality, but through the precision of dependency. And yet, even as you master others, never forget that time masters you. No power is eternal. Every empire is born of hunger, matures in discipline, and dies in complacency. Every ruler is both architect and eventual victim of his creation. The system you build to secure your throne will one day evolve beyond your control. The bureaucracy you create will outlive your will. The soldiers you train will one day follow another flag. This is the law of all power. Everything endures only until something stronger appears. The true ruler understands this and prepares for it. He governs not only for survival, but for succession. He crafts institutions that reflect his strength, but not his ego. For when a ruler builds only for himself, he builds fragility. But when he builds for continuity, he becomes immortal in structure, if not in name. Greatness is not in being remembered, it is in leaving behind a mechanism that still functions after your death. You must never mistake control for permanence. The moment you believe your position is secure, it begins to decay. Every order, every alliance, every peace contains the seeds of its undoing. The wise ruler tends to those seeds with vigilance, pruning ambition before it grows wild, trimming complacency before it becomes rot. The most dangerous enemy is not rebellion. It is comfort. The state that becomes too comfortable forgets how to defend itself. The leader who becomes too comfortable forgets how to lead. So learn to live on the edge of your own power. Do not seek rest. Seek readiness. Do not chase admiration. Chase awareness. The ruler's true strength lies not in certainty, but in constant observation. He studies the subtle movements of men, their tones, hesitations, desires, and sees patterns invisible to the untrained. He reads silence like a map. He predicts betrayal before it arrives. This awareness is not paranoia. It is survival. And when the day comes when even vigilance cannot protect you, when fortune shifts and the crowd turns, remember, The end of power is not the end of clarity. Even in defeat, the one who understood power understood the truth of men. He may lose his throne, but not his vision. For vision, unlike power, cannot be seized, it must be earned. Thus, the final mastery is not over others, but over illusion itself. The ruler who sees without flinching, who commands without self-delusion, who acts without apology, he is not merely powerful, he is free. For freedom does not mean the absence of control, but the ability to see through control, and that is the rarest form of power of all. Freedom for the ruler is not an escape from responsibility. It is the acceptance of it without the need for illusion. It is the cold, clear knowledge that every choice carries blood, that every victory is purchased with loss, and that every act of preservation leaves a scar on the conscience. To govern wisely is to understand that there are no clean decisions, only necessary ones. Those who wait for purity before they act will never act at all, and those who act without conscience will destroy the very foundation they sought to preserve. Between these two extremes lies the narrow, merciless path of power. The world does not forgive hesitation. The void left by indecision is quickly filled by the ambitions of others. The ruler who delays for virtue's sake soon finds himself governed by the ruthless. Every crisis is a test of will disguised as circumstance. And in those moments when the crowd panics and the advisors contradict each other, the ruler must become absolute within himself, not cruel, not reckless, but decisive. Decision is the highest currency of leadership, and hesitation is its bankruptcy. Many dream of power, but few can endure its silence. It isolates you from the warmth of belonging, from the comfort of being understood. Every confidant becomes a potential threat, every alliance a temporary convenience. You learn to smile with one eye open, to listen not to what is said but to what is omitted. You begin to sense betrayal as one senses a change in the weather. First a stillness, then a chill, then the quiet certainty of the coming storm. To rule is to live in perpetual awareness that loyalty is a mask worn by necessity. Yet in that solitude, clarity sharpens. When you no longer seek approval, you begin to see patterns invisible to the sentimental. You recognize that most men are driven not by ideology but by insecurity. They disguise ambition as virtue, greed as justice, cowardice as compassion. They condemn ruthlessness while secretly envying it. The wise ruler does not judge them, he uses them. He understands that to command a crowd, one must first comprehend its hunger. Do not attempt to educate the masses beyond what they can bear. They crave symbols, not systems. They follow emotion, not evidence. Give them an image of stability, a narrative of righteousness, and they will obey even when they do not understand. A state ruled by intellect alone collapses under abstraction. A state ruled by feeling alone descends into chaos. But a state governed through perception by mastering both the mind and the theater of the people endures. Control, therefore, begins not with force, but with narrative. Whoever defines reality rules it. If the ruler does not write the story, his enemies will. Perception is the battlefield of modern politics, and silence is its most elegant weapon. Every statement must serve a design. Every appearance must reinforce control. The leader who speaks to explain himself weakens. The one who speaks to direct belief becomes legend. But beware of your own legend. The most dangerous trap in power is to believe in the myth you created. The ruler who begins to act according to his image rather than his judgment loses his balance. He becomes an actor in his own performance, trapped by the expectations of those he once manipulated. Remember, the mask is a tool, not a prison. Remove it when you must. Study yourself as you would an enemy. Observe your impulses, test your motives, discipline your vanity. The man who cannot govern his ego will soon be governed by those who can. Power attracts flattery the way a corpse attracts flies. It is the natural instinct of those who seek favor to sing false praises. They will tell you that your words inspire them, your vision redeems them, your mercy uplifts them. But behind every compliment hides a request. The ruler who listens too long to admiration begins to forget the difference between adoration and dependence. Praise is a sweet poison. It inflates perception while dissolving judgment. The wise ruler accepts it but does not inhale it. To remain clear, one must return often to silence. Step back from the noise of counsel and applause. Watch from a distance how men behave when you are absent. That is the truest reflection of your influence. Do they act with discipline, or do they decay into disorder? Authority is not proven by presence, but by the persistence of order in your absence. That is the invisible measure of control when your name alone continues to govern behavior. Understand that every generation of rulers faces the same paradox. To preserve order, one must sometimes break the very laws that sustain it. The people cannot bear to know this truth. They wish for purity in those who must act in impurity for their sake. They will curse the ruler for the deeds that keep them safe. They will call him tyrant for preventing the chaos they cannot survive. But this, too, is part of the burden to be condemned for doing what must be done. Do not expect gratitude, expect necessity. Govern not for love, but for endurance. Let your actions be measured not by applause, but by longevity. The ruler who governs for affection dies forgotten. The ruler who governs for stability outlives his name. History will never love you, but it may respect your results. And when the time comes for you to face decline, when youth fades, when enemies grow bold, when the weight of power begins to turn to ash in your hands, you must perform your final act with precision. Do not cling to what is already slipping away. A ruler who cannot time his exit becomes the feast of scavengers. Step down before you fall. Depart before you decay. In retreat, design the conditions of your remembrance. In silence, ensure your influence lingers. The true measure of mastery is not in how long one holds power, but in how gracefully one releases it. The greatest rulers do not end, they transform. Their ideas, their systems, their vision continue like invisible hands shaping the next age. The fool dies clinging to the throne. The strategist lives forever through structure. And when you stand alone at the end, stripped of title, name, and audience, look back not with regret but with comprehension. You will see that power was never about dominance, but awareness. That the empire you built was never just the state, but the discipline of your own mind. You will understand that the throne was only a reflection, a mirror of your ability to confront truth without flinching. Then, perhaps, in that final silence, you will see what the fools never did, that power was never a possession, but a mirror of human nature itself. It revealed the greed, the fear, the loyalty, the deceit, the frailty, and the hunger that define us. And the ruler, if he was wise, did not seek to erase these things, only to orchestrate them, to make harmony from chaos, order from instinct, balance from desire. For that is the final art of power, not to control the world, but to conduct it. And the one who masters this, who commands not through force nor virtue, but through understanding, becomes something greater than a ruler. He becomes inevitable. Power, when stripped of illusion, reveals itself as a pattern repeated across centuries, the same game played with new costumes, the same hunger wearing different crowns. Consider the conqueror who promises liberation, only to enslave the liberated. Consider the reformer who rises against tyranny, only to rule with a heavier hand. Every era begins with revolution and ends with administration. The cries of freedom always become the whispers of control. The wheel turns, but the nature of those who push it remains unchanged. Look at the empires that ruled with banners of destiny: Rome, whose senators preached virtue while bleeding provinces dry; Byzantium, whose intrigue became an art form; the kingdoms of Europe that cloaked greed in faith. Each believed their order eternal. Each built monuments, rituals, and doctrines to anchor their power beyond time. Yet all fell not because of enemies at the gate, but because rot began within. Indulgence replaced discipline. Sympathy replaced vigilance. The rulers forgot that power, like fire, must be fed, but never trusted. Or look to the merchants who dethroned kings through commerce. They did not wear crowns, but ruled through debt. They understood that gold commands more loyalty than blood, that influence flows not from ancestry, but from liquidity. They built dynasties invisible to the crowd, governments without armies, empires of numbers and contracts. The modern prince is no longer born into power. He builds it in silence, behind glowing screens and veiled corporations. He shapes policy without appearing in public, commands nations through markets, and enslaves without chains. This is the evolution of control, subtle, impersonal, efficient. In the digital age, power no longer announces itself with soldiers and banners. It hides in algorithms, in narratives that shape thought before thought becomes speech. The ruler no longer needs to censor, he only needs to distract. Bread and circuses have become infinite scroll and echo chamber. Men believe they are free because their cage has no walls. But the architecture of control remains, only the materials have changed. The wise ruler understands that information is now territory, attention is currency, and truth is a negotiable asset. Whoever controls what people see, controls what they believe. Whoever controls what they believe, controls what they will fight for. And yet, even this empire of illusion is fragile. The modern ruler faces a new challenge. The crowd now imagines itself to be king. Every citizen carries the illusion of influence. Every voice believes itself sovereign. But noise is not power. Chaos is not freedom. When everyone demands to rule, no one governs. Thus, the wise strategist learns to rule the chaos without confronting it. He gives the masses the illusion of participation, while quietly shaping the boundaries of their choice. He understands that rebellion can be pacified not by force, but by permission, by letting men exhaust their rage in harmless arenas while true decisions are made elsewhere. Consider also the ruler who loses control, not through weakness, but through excess. The tyrant who governs through absolute fear soon discovers that terror corrodes its wielder. A people beaten too long forget how to obey intelligently. They comply in form but not in spirit. They cease to think and thus cease to build. A state of silence becomes a state of stagnation. Fear creates obedience, but not loyalty. Submission, but not strength. The wise ruler uses fear as a spark, not a fire enough to maintain vigilance, never enough to suffocate will. There is also the opposite danger, the sentimental ruler, the one who mistakes empathy for policy. He opens the treasury to please the crowd, dissolves discipline in the name of compassion, forgives corruption in the name of understanding. He wishes to be loved by all, and in doing so, becomes respected by none. History buries such rulers quickly, for the mob, once appeased, grows addicted. Each concession demands another. Each kindness is read as weakness. And when the treasury empties and the praise fades, the crowd that adored him becomes the same mob that tears him down. The art of enduring power lies in understanding rhythm, when to tighten and when to release, when to terrify and when to inspire. A ruler who punishes without measure creates resentment. A ruler who forgives without caution creates decay. The mastery lies in timing and striking when fear has ripened into arrogance, in showing mercy when hatred begins to boil. The crowd must never feel entirely safe, nor entirely desperate. Hope and fear must coexist in equal measure, like two reins guiding a single beast. History's survivors all share this instinct. Augustus, who cloaked his dictatorship in the garments of a republic. Richelieu, who ruled kings by pretending to serve them. Catherine, who softened her iron will with the theater of enlightenment. They understood that image is armor and perception is policy. They governed through duality, serene in speech, ruthless in action, modest in demeanor, absolute in control. Their power lasted because it evolved with necessity. They changed faces before their enemies could name them. Modern power demands the same adaptability. The ruler who clings to ideology becomes obsolete. The one who reads the shifting winds survives. In a time where loyalty is fleeting and outrage instantaneous, the art of command lies not in strength alone, but in agility, the ability to pivot faster than others can predict. Stability today depends on controlled instability, on managing uncertainty rather than erasing it. The ruler must learn to play both sides of every crisis, to profit from disorder while appearing to restore order. But beyond the palace, beyond the market, beyond the screen, power still obeys its oldest law. Men follow certainty. In times of confusion, they seek the one who does not tremble. The crowd does not crave truth, it craves direction. When leaders hesitate, the people will follow even the liar who speaks with confidence. That is why the most dangerous weapon in politics is not the sword or the coin, but the calm voice that never falters. So the wise ruler cultivates calm not as virtue, but as strategy. He knows that panic spreads faster than plague, and that the illusion of control can preserve order even when control is slipping. In crisis, appearances become reality. If the ruler stands firm, the people believe they are safe. If he trembles, the empire begins to shake. Confidence, therefore, is not emotion, it is armor. It must be maintained even when the heart quakes beneath it. And as the centuries turn, this truth remains. The instruments of power may evolve, but its essence never changes. Whether by sword or screen, by throne or algorithm, the game remains the same: to perceive human nature clearly, to use its illusions wisely, and to ensure that chaos always serves your design. For the faces of power change, but the machinery behind them never sleeps. And those who understand that machinery, who can hear the cold hum of its gears beneath the noise of civilization, are the only ones who ever truly rule. Power is never destroyed by external enemies first. It is undone from within, through the slow corrosion of discipline by illusion, through the whispers of comfort disguised as truth. Every ruler carries within him the same four lies that once destroyed empires. They do not arrive as threats, but as virtues, gentle, persuasive, and reasonable. They tell you what you want to hear, until you no longer see what must be seen. The first lie returns in new form: the belief that influence today is built through affection. That being liked is a strategy, that attention equals authority, but affection is an unstable currency. It inflates and collapses with every shifting mood. The modern prince who chases approval forgets that admiration cannot be governed. It must be manipulated, not trusted. The crowd loves those who resemble its fantasies, not those who secure its survival. To depend on being liked is to hand over your legitimacy to those incapable of sustaining it. Power cannot live in sentiment, it lives in structure. The second lie evolves with sophistication, the illusion that transparency ensures trust. It is the religion of the age, that authenticity replaces competence, that confession cleanses corruption. Yet, exposure breeds not confidence, but contempt. The ruler who reveals everything loses mystique, and with it, authority. Trust is not born from honesty, it is born from control. Control of image, of information, of what is known and what is hidden. Invisibility is the new armor. The one who remains unreadable governs the rhythm of perception. The one who speaks too clearly becomes replaceable. The third lie thrives in the modern mind: that loyalty can be built through inclusion, that unity means equality, that power can be shared without weakening it. But shared power is not strength, it is dilution. Unity built without hierarchy dissolves into noise. The ruler must understand that harmony is not consensus, it is orchestration. Loyalty must be designed, not requested. Every subordinate must depend on the center, not the center on them. A ruler who makes himself accessible to all becomes accountable to all, and accountability without limit is suicide. The fourth lie, the most dangerous, is the illusion of moral power. The belief that goodness alone can justify command, that compassion guarantees longevity. It is a comforting myth for those who wish to feel clean while standing in the machinery of control. But power that refuses to soil its hands soon loses its grip. The ruler who cannot confront corruption becomes ruled by it. Virtue unguarded becomes vanity. True goodness in leadership is not purity, but precision, the ability to choose between necessary evils without hesitation. These lies destroy power not because they are false, but because they are incomplete. Each contains a fragment of truth twisted by weakness. To be loved matters, but not more than being respected. To be honest matters, but only within the limits of advantage. To be loyal matters, but only when loyalty serves necessity. To be good matters, but only when goodness preserves order. Power collapses when one of these truths is mistaken for the whole. The ruler who believes in half-truths becomes the servant of those who understand the rest. To preserve power in any age, whether crowned in gold or in code, one must first recognize that it is not an emotion, nor an ideal, nor a title. It is an equilibrium of forces constantly threatening to break. It exists only through vigilance. It is not something possessed, but something performed an act of perpetual control over perception, motion, and consequence. The ruler who forgets this begins to drift, and drifting is death. Do not believe the world has grown more civilized, that deception has faded, that power today is ethical. It is merely cleaner in language, subtler in form, more delicate in appearance. The ruthless now smile more often. The manipulator now speaks of values. The conquest now arrives through opportunity rather than invasion. But beneath every performance, the same instincts remain: fear, ambition, envy, survival. Whoever denies this loses not only power, but relevance. To see power clearly is to strip away all ornament. It is to understand that leadership is not a dream of justice, but a negotiation with chaos. The ruler stands between instinct and order, between appetite and ruin. His task is not to please, but to balance. His survival depends not on virtue, but on adaptability. Those who seek comfort will call him cold. Those who seek freedom will call him cruel. But names are wind. Only structure endures. Therefore, if you wish to preserve power, whether in state, enterprise, or self, kill the illusions before they kill you. Do not seek affection. Build necessity. Do not expose everything. Control perception. Do not share power. Define hierarchy. Do not worship virtue. Weaponize it. For the essence of rule is not domination, but design. The invisible hand that holds together what would otherwise collapse. And when the lies come whispering again, soft, familiar, seductive, remember this. They do not destroy power with force. They dissolve it through comfort. They make the ruler forget what he truly is. Not a friend, not a savior, but a stabilizer of chaos. The world does not reward innocence. It consumes it. The world does not honor truth. It manages it. The world does not love the ruler. It needs him. That need not affection, not applause, is the only foundation of lasting power. To be necessary is to be untouchable. To be necessary is to be immortal in function, even when forgotten in name. The one who understands this does not fear betrayal, does not fear decay, does not fear obscurity, for his strength lies not in how bright he burns, but in how long his fire shapes the world. That is the ruler's secret. That is Machiavelli's warning. And that is the only truth left when all illusions die. Power, once stripped of illusion, reveals its truest face, not glory, not fame, but responsibility without sympathy. The ruler is condemned to clarity. He must see through every disguise, every justification, every noble word that conceals self-interest. This sight is both his strength and his torment. It separates him from the crowd, from the comfort of believing in simple good and evil. To see the machinery of motive is to lose innocence forever. Yet this loss is the price of mastery. Only the one who can bear it without bitterness becomes capable of true command. The ruler who survives understands that mercy and ruthlessness are not opposites. They are instruments. Both serve order when used with precision. Mercy without calculation becomes indulgence. Ruthlessness without restraint becomes chaos. Power requires both, not alternately, but simultaneously. You must punish like a surgeon, not an executioner. You must heal like a tactician, not a saint. Those who cannot balance these opposites become either feared too briefly or loved too foolishly. Every decision you make must answer a single question. Does it preserve order? Not comfort, not approval, not even peace, for peace is only the appearance of stability, and comfort is the decay that follows success. The ruler's compass points always toward continuity. His task is not to end conflict, but to contain it, not to please the people, but to keep the structure that holds them together. In this, the ruler's morality differs from that of the governed. He must sometimes choose the lesser corruption over the greater collapse. Beware of those who preach purity in politics. They are either fools or opportunists. Fools, because they believe the world can be governed by ideals. Opportunists, because they know purity is impossible and use its promise to disguise their ambitions. The wise ruler never pretends to be perfect. He presents himself instead as inevitable flawed, but necessary. The people forgive cruelty faster than weakness, hypocrisy faster than impotence. They despise above all the one who hesitates while pretending to be good. Do not mistake fatigue for wisdom. The longer one governs, the more temptation grows to retreat into nostalgia, to rule by habit, to confuse endurance with foresight. Power must renew itself constantly, for it exists in motion. The moment it stands still, decay begins. Renewal does not come from speeches or reforms. It comes from recalibration, the ruthless willingness to discard what no longer works, even when it was your own creation. A ruler who cannot dismantle his past decisions becomes enslaved to them, and yet all control is temporary. Even the greatest structures collapse when vigilance weakens. Therefore, the wise ruler prepares for decay as he would for battle. He builds redundancy into his system, teaches strength to those who will replace him, ensures that no single failure can undo the whole. He governs not to be eternal, but to make collapse orderly. To exit power without chaos is the final triumph of the strategist. When fortune turns, as it always does, the ruler's dignity lies in his composure. He does not rage against inevitability. He accepts that every empire, every reign, every influence is a borrowed flame. He knows that even decline can serve a design, for when his power wanes, the myth of his rule begins, and myth, if crafted carefully, lasts longer than victory. A ruler dies twice, first in body, then in memory. Only the wise arrange their second life before the first ends. So guard your legacy not with monuments, but with design. Let your name fade if your system endures. Let others take credit if the order you built remains unbroken. The ruler who needs recognition is still a servant of vanity. The one who builds for continuity becomes untouchable. The power that lasts is never visible. It moves beneath, invisible, directing outcomes long after the hand that shaped it is gone. In the end, every ruler faces the same choice: to be remembered or to be effective, to chase admiration or to sustain control, to live for the applause of the moment or the silence of endurance. The crowd rewards spectacle, but history remembers structure. Choose silence. It lasts longer. For the final truth is this: power is neither curse nor blessing. It is responsibility stripped of illusion. The world is not ruled by angels or demons, but by those who accept necessity without sentiment, to see without fear, to act without guilt, to lead without apology. That is the path of survival. That is the discipline of command, and that above every comfort, every ideal, every deception is the only form of freedom a ruler will ever know. Freedom for the ruler is not the freedom to do as he pleases. It is the freedom to do what must be done without the paralysis of doubt. It is the quiet acceptance that no decision will ever be clean, no victory ever pure, no peace ever final. The ruler who survives learns to live with contradiction as others live with air. He no longer seeks moral comfort. He seeks clarity. He understands that the cost of clarity is isolation, and he bears it with composure. He governs not through affection but through necessity, not through persuasion but through design. He shapes human nature as a sculptor shapes stone, not by kindness but by pressure. He does not demand perfection from men. He calculates their weakness and channels it toward order. He knows that deception is not evil when it preserves the greater balance, that fear is not cruelty when it prevents collapse. His conscience is not unfeeling, it is disciplined. He uses power as a craftsman uses a blade, sharp, precise, never wasted. The ruler's life is not a pursuit of happiness, but of equilibrium. He measures his success not in praise, but in continuity. The system that functions when he is absent is his true monument. The generation that never knows chaos is his unspoken legacy. He does not expect gratitude, for gratitude belongs to those who serve, not those who command. And in the end, when silence replaces authority and his name fades into the archives of necessity, the ruler will have achieved what few ever do. He will have imposed order upon the chaos of men, and done so without illusion. He will have understood the truth that power is not about dominance, but direction, not about virtue, but vision, not about being right, but remaining necessary. For the ruler who understands this never truly falls. He merely disappears into the system he created, becoming the invisible architect of its endurance. And in that vanishing lies the highest form of power, not the glory of being seen, but the control of what remains unseen. That is the final lesson. The true ruler does not seek eternity in name, but permanence in effect. His empire is not carved in stone, but in the instincts of those who continue to obey long after he is gone. And so, when all crowns have tarnished and all empires have turned to dust, what remains is not the ruler's name, but the pattern he engraved upon the world. The wise understand that power is never owned, only borrowed from chaos, for as long as vigilance sustains it. The moment you forget this, the world reclaims what was never truly yours. In the end, every ruler faces the same silence. The applause fades. The courtiers vanish. The portraits gather dust. What remains is the record of choices, not the ones that pleased, but the ones that preserved. History does not remember sentiment. It remembers structure. The wise ruler builds for the unseen, not the celebrated. His legacy is not in marble, but in motion in the way the world continues to function according to his unseen design. He does not wait for justice from posterity, nor forgiveness from those he governed. He knows that understanding comes only with distance, and by then, his work will already be complete. The measure of his greatness lies not in how he is remembered, but in how long his absence is felt. For power, in its purest form, is not domination, nor fear, nor fame. It is equilibrium, the still center that holds the storm together. And the one who learns to live in that center, unblinded by love, unharmed by hatred, unmoved by illusion, becomes something beyond the reach of fortune. He becomes not a man, but a principle, the silent law behind the visible world. And when he vanishes into history's quiet, his presence remains in every structure that still stands. That is the destiny of the true ruler, not to be adored, but to be obeyed by time itself.